So you've just completed the 30 Days of Banjo series. Congratulations. That's pretty cool. And whether it took you 30 days or 60 days or maybe even 15 days, you finished something. That's very cool. But here's the deal. You're not done with the banjo. You probably want to know, what should you do next? And that's kind of a difficult question to answer because I don't know you or your musical preferences or what it is that you want to do with the banjo. So in some ways, you have to answer that for yourself. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to do with the banjo? What do I like about the banjo? What bands that include the banjo do I like, and do I want to sound like those? And then what are the pieces that go into all of that? Well, we can talk a little bit about the pieces, but again, you have to choose what it is that you want to do. Now, assuming you liked this series, you liked the 30 Days of Banjo series, then actually a lot of the stuff on my YouTube channel and on Patreon is going to work really well for you. And a lot of that technique does actually work really well for other things like jazz banjo, or I guess rock and roll banjo. Whatever it is, if you're using 3 finger picks, it's going to dwell heavily within that realm of bluegrass banjo. But assuming you did like this material, here's what you'll probably want to do. First, take a look at all the things that you learned in this series and make sure it's all comfortable. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be really fast, it doesn't have to be particularly flashy, just make sure it's comfortable. Make sure there's nothing that you're ignoring or skipping, because everything in this series is going to come up in most other things that you're going to learn. So if you skip it now, it's not going to be very fun later when you have to do it again. So figure it all out now, go back to lessons that you thought were confusing or that you need more time on, and really shore up that information so that then in the future, you can just start working on new stuff. But assuming you're there, assuming you've learned all that material and it's comfortable and you're ready to move on, here's what I think you should probably do next. I think you probably want to learn some more tunes. You're going to see a lot of the same techniques in the songs that we learned in this series in all the other tunes in this style. But using them in different contexts actually is a little bit challenging. So the more you can do that, the more tunes you can learn, the more ways that you can look at these same techniques from a different angle, the more comfortable they're going to get. And you're going to get fluent with this bluegrass language. So the first playlist in the description of this video that you can go to is called Demonstrations. It's basically just songs and tunes that I'm demonstrating, and I show you the tab on the screen, and you can learn them much like we did in the 30 Days of Banjo series. I don't explain every little detail of how to play these songs, but since you've gone through that process in the 30 Days series, I think you can now do it on your own. It's not going to be necessarily super easy to start doing that on your own, but it's a necessary skill, and what better time than now. There's so many videos in that playlist that I'm actually not going to put them all in order of difficulty, but the first 10 or so will be ones that I think would be a good place to start after this series. So check that out and learn a couple more tunes. But there's more to banjo playing than just learning tunes and then repeating them, right? This is stuff that we actually want to play with other people. We want to make music. So as we discussed in the series, part of that is playing the melodies, part of that is playing backup when other people are playing the melodies, or singing, or when you're singing. So the next playlist in the description is all about backup and different styles of backup, different ways to play it, and examples of it played on different songs. And this is something that you can actually do at the same time as you're learning other songs. This is actually stuff that I work on all the time. I'm always learning new songs, learning new ways to play backup over those songs. So feel free to start learning a new song, but also start on some of the backup series. One of the ones that I would start with probably is rolling backup. It's something we went over a little bit in this series, but this really starts to break it down into what banjo players are really playing in real bluegrass. So that's something you might want to check out as well. Now, one thing you might find in either those tunes or those examples of backup and different backup techniques is that there are other techniques that we didn't talk about in the 30 Days of Banjo series, like single string, melodic style, bends, other things like that. Some of this stuff isn't going to require too much of an explanation. You're just going to look at the tablature and understand what it is that's supposed to happen. But if you're looking to expand your understanding of technique on the banjo, then there's also a playlist for that. And if you think about it, these are 3 big parts of what it is to learn music, or at least to learn bluegrass banjo. There's a lot of songs that you're going to want to be familiar with. There's a lot of ways to play backup. So you're either playing the melody or you're not. Those are the 2 options really when you're playing music, at least with bluegrass banjo. And then there's these other techniques that come up in the process of playing those things. So we can learn how to play things, and then we can analyze how it is that those things get played. So within those 3 playlists are pretty much all the content that I've made that's freely available on YouTube. And now it's up to you to figure out what part of that you like. So you really have to think about what type of banjo playing you like, what bands you like that include the banjo. Hopefully you've checked out some of the playlists of the featured banjo players from the 30 Days series, which means you have some idea of which of those things you like. Maybe you like Earl Scruggs, you like the traditional bluegrass sound and you want to play like that. Maybe you really like Noah McKelney and Bela Fleck and you want to get interested in improvisation. Well, a lot of the material that I've made will help you do that, but you have to seek out the things that you actually like, which might mean surfing around a little bit and trying a couple of different things. But this really is just the beginning of a never-ending process of learning new things, learning a new song, or finding an answer to a question you have, or looking for an explanation as to why does that song go like that, and how do I do that thing, right? So what's nice is now that you've gone through this series, you actually have a lot of the tools to digest a lot of lessons from a lot of different people. Of course, I've got a lot of this information here, but it also means that if you find a song that I haven't taught or I don't have tablature for or something like that, then you can go online and say how to play such and such song. And it's probably a good chance that somebody out there has done it. And they're going to either tell you how to do it, or they're going to show you some tablature or something like that, all of which you now are capable of digesting and understanding. So it's not necessarily going to be easy, and it might take you a little while to get used to the idea of just seeking out this information, but that's how it's done. That's how everyone does it. That's how I did it. There isn't really a perfect path for all of us. You have to seek it out yourself. Another thing that you should probably keep in mind, which might help you understand how to use this platform, YouTube or Patreon, if you choose to support me there, is that I'm just a guy. I'm just here in this room where I practice and I make lessons and I work on understanding this stuff and I work on teaching this stuff. This isn't really a business per se. It's how I make my living, but I'm just here trying to interact with people in a way that helps them understand how to do this stuff. So the information that's available right now as you're watching this is more than was available yesterday, but less than will be available tomorrow. I'm always putting out more content, which means that there might be other series coming. There might be a lot of other lessons that might help you understand what it is that you want to do. So keep checking back here. This might not be always the best place for you to learn everything that you want to learn, but I'm always working on new ways to help people understand these things or just put out more content. So it's probably a good idea, and I know I've said this at least 30 times now, you should probably subscribe to this channel and put on the notification bell so you can see when I post new videos, because I might post a video of a song that you want to learn or a technique that you want to learn or something else that you might find helpful. It's of course helpful to me if you do that, but I really do think that it's going to be easier for you if you can stay in touch with some of the resources that you found useful in the past. So if you like my resources, then try to stay in touch with those resources. The other thing I'll say is that if you haven't considered checking out Patreon yet, which is where I put a bunch of bonus content like extra practice tips and backup examples, all kinds of stuff that you can't find here on YouTube, you might want to do that. It's patreon.com/Eli Gilbert Banjo. It's helpful to me, obviously, because it's financial support, but it is a good place where you can get more content and you can also ask questions directly. So if that's something that's of interest to you, then feel free to check it out. It's not something I really enjoy advertising, but there you go. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time already, so I hope you get back to practicing what you already know and the things that you're going to learn in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.